function notation, which we just, again, practiced over here. These equations are written in function notation, asking us what is the function, what is the job, what happens when for x. So it's pretty easy. You can just think of it as an equation that has f of x equals. Right? You're doing something mathematically. It's an equation because there's an equal sign, and it starts with f of x equals. Now, I say that f of x means the function of x, or I don't know why I ended it with a parentheses instead of a quote. The function of x. It means what happens to x. What's the job? What is going on with it? It means the function of x. That's how you read it. F of x. F of x. The function of x. Now I say it's an equation that has f of x equals in it. But sometimes we have it say g of x, which is still a function of x. Or it could say h of x. It's the same thing. And you usually see g of x, or you usually see f of x if you're putting two equations, you're comparing two things in the same problem. If I'm comparing two different things, I'm going to have one equation that's called the f of x, the function of x, and I'm going to have my other equation that I'm comparing about be g of x. It's going to just have a different name, but they're interchangeable. They all have the same meaning. We just use different variables for different circumstances. So, to do function notation, you substitute the given value in for x. And the given value, is what goes inside, or what you replace for the x value. So you substitute the given value in for x, and then you simplify. Sometimes the answer is numerical. Sometimes your answer is going to be a number. But sometimes your answer is a math problem. Sometimes you can't simplify any further. So we're going to practice. We're just going to practice, practice, practice. We're going to start easy. Ready?
No.
Yes, you are. Bless you. All right. If I have the problem f of x equals x squared minus 4, and I tell you that x equals 9. My rules were substitute the given value in for x. So instead of x, wherever you see x, I'm going to substitute the number 9. Do you agree? So it looks like this. The function of 9 is 9 squared minus 4. The function of 9 in this problem would be 9 squared minus 4. Can I simplify?
Yes.
I could say the function of 9, 9 squared is 81. 81 minus 4 is 77. The function of 9 is 77. And I'm done. The function of 9 is 77. This is taking input-output tables. If I put in this, I get out this, right? To the next level. It's just another way of writing input-output, another way of substituting. Let's do another one. If I said the function of x is 3x to the third minus 2x squared plus 154. And I wanted to know when x was negative 22. My steps to solving these problems are to substitute my x value and simplify. So the function of negative 22 is 3 times negative 22 to the third minus 2 times negative 22 squared plus 154. I substitute my x value. Substitute. Now I'm going to use a calculator, correct? Unless you want to do negative 22 to the third power times 3 and negative 22 squared times negative 2 and then take this number and this number and this number and combine them. I would not like to do that. So 3 times negative 22 to the third power minus 2 times negative 22 squared plus 154. So the function of negative 22 results in an answer of negative 32,758. That's my answer. That's the function of negative 22. It's substitution, correct? Substitution and calculator skills. Let's try harder. What is the function of x in 3x minus 8 when x equals y minus 10? What are you going to do? What are my steps? I wrote down 2 steps and only 2 steps. Substitute the given value. So instead of x, what am I going to replace it with? So the function of y minus 10 equals 3, and instead of x, I'm going to put in y minus 10 minus 8. Now I'm going to simplify. The function of y minus 10 is 3y minus 30 minus 8. Am I done? No. The function of y minus 10 is 3y minus 38. I still substituted. And I simplified. However, the difference was, in this example, I substituted an unknown value. I substituted a variable. I can still substitute a variable. Doesn't mean that I'm going to say like, oh yeah, it's negative 88. That's the answer, duh. My answer can be an algebraic problem. Okay. How do we feel about this? Okay, we're going to do one more example. I'm going to put over here. We'll have to go back into our table of contents. I'm going to call it nested functions. Nested functions. It's like a Matryoshka doll of functions. There's a function inside of a function. You open up the doll and there's another tiny doll inside of it. It's nested. It's inside each other. All right, so here's my problem. This is where it came in the different letters. If I let you know that f of x is 3x plus 2, and g of x is, what do I want it to be? 2x plus 11. I can make a problem that looks like this. I can say f of g of 2. F of g of 2. And what this means is I want to know what is the function, right, of g of 2. So when I put 2 into g, what's that function when substituted into f of x? So it means I'm going to substitute twice. Just like parentheses. If I had a math problem with multiple sets of parentheses, you always start in the inside most parentheses, correct? So I'm going to do my inside most parentheses first. I'm going to do g of 2. Meaning, instead of g of x equals 2x plus 11, I'm going to do g of 2 equals 2 times 2 plus 11. What is the function of 2 in this problem? What's 4 times, or nope. What's 2 times 2?
4.
Plus 11.
15.
So the function of 2 is 15. Do you agree? Now, I substitute into the f of x. So now I take this answer and instead of x, because I'm putting this answer in here, right? I'm going to say the g of 2. I'm going to put 2 in. Oh, nope, 15. In for my x value. I'm nesting it. I figured out the g, and then I take the g answer, and because there's an f out here, I'm going to put the g answer into this equation. What's 3 times 15? Plus 2. Let's do f of negative 3. What do you think that means? F of negative 3. We're still substituting and we're still simplifying. It's just nested. There's 2 of them that we have to do. F of negative 3. Do your inside-most parentheses. What's my inside-most parentheses? F of negative 3. That's my first. Right? So up here, right there, instead of x, I'm going to put negative 3. I'm going to do that inside most parentheses. What's 3 times negative 3? Plus 2. So the function of negative 3 is negative 7. Do you agree? Now I'm going to take that answer, negative 7, and I'm going to put it into my outside set of parentheses, which is the f equation again. I'm going to do it again because it's the f equation. If it had a g outside, I'd put it into this one because that's my g equation. But it's going back into my f equation again. So I'm going to do the function of negative 3. But this time, instead of putting in negative 3 to my answer, I'm going to put in my new answer, which is negative 7. What is 3 times negative 7? Plus 2. So the function of negative 3 is negative 19. The function of. It's nested. It's inside of itself.